So, hi guys, welcome to In Conversation with Off The Wall. So, I'm Fangqing, who's going to host this episode. And we have here our artists for our Off The Wall exhibition and art outreach.
Hi, I'm Charmaine. I'm a sign painter, and my work is titled Pie in the Sky.
My name is Wan Xiang. I'm an artist and art therapist. The title of my work is When a Tree Falls.
Hi, I'm Wu Yanrong. I'm an artist, paint with brushes and brooms, and the title of my work is Tender.
Now, what is Off The Wall? Off The Wall is a sustainable art exhibition series featuring artists live painting wall murals in art outreach's gallery space over a certain period of time. So it's during this time where the public is invited to visit and witness the creative process firsthand. Afterwards, the murals will be photographed in high resolution and made into prints for public purchase in support of the artists and art outreach as well. So it's actually our second time doing Off The Wall, and this year's exhibition goes by the theme of Nourish. So at this point in filming, we're at the very last week of Off The Wall, and I hope that we can take this opportunity to kind of gather our thoughts and experiences with what has happened during this exhibition. Now, before we start anything, I do kind of want to ask you guys first, what kind of comfort food do you guys usually enjoy eating?
Oh, my mom's cooking.
Specifically?
Soup.
Or is it just the fact that it's your mom?
You mean specific dishes?
Are there any, or is it just your mom's cooking in a general sense?
Both, yeah. I mean, I don't think I would like the dish if my mom didn't cook it.
Her mom made really good kueh pai tea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you kind of shared it with each other?
Yeah.
We had this really chill thing, and her mom made really great kueh pai teas.
Oh, nice. That's so cute. But what about you?
Comfort food. I think from here, Guzman. Sponsor me, Guzman. Yeah, sometimes. I feel like it has changed a lot over the years. Some go-tos, which is a very rare thing, is shepherd's pie. I think it's the potato. I think potato is comfort food. But then I think also specifically lotus root soup. I'm not sure why. It feels very cozy. Yeah.
It's the warmth and it's also the starchiness of it.
Very, very nourishing.
Very, very nourishing. So real. What about you, Yanrong?
Can I say the brand, or must it be just one type of dish?
You can censor it.
In my sponsorship. McDonald's breakfast. right. And also Lanu's wonton noodle.
Oh, wonton. I feel like wonton noodles are very, very steep.
Yeah, the pork wonton noodles.
It's basic, but it's a really, really nice kind of basic. Yeah, it's so good hearing about all of your comfort foods, but unfortunately we don't have that today. What we have here instead is this little bowl of prawns in the shape of what I can only call squid ink pasta / Chinese noodle mix. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So there are prompts inside this bowl where you guys will take turns and kind of draw from. Yeah, and these will be the prompts that will help us get this conversation started. So yeah, Charmaine, would you like to do the honors?
Sure. Ooh, you can see my chopstick skills. Oh. Okay, I got one.
Read it out.
Cha-Ching.
Yes, what a nice way to start off our Off The Wall group interview without Okay, look, we have to talk about money for this one because in the end, these murals are not only for show, but they will be sold as fine art prints at the end of the day in full and as crock pots as well. So I'm also kind of curious, maybe to start things off, what does it mean for you and your audience to kind of have your murals painted and sold at a range of sizes and prices?
I can start first. I think this is the first time where my work is being photographed and being printed as prints. And to be honest, I was quite skeptical about it because I wasn't sure if the whole process is able to capture the textures, the colors, and all really well. But I had a great introduction into the whole process that the last year team did, or the last year's edition, and like I saw the details are really, really well captured, and the colors turned out great. Everything was really unexpected, so I was quite surprised in a good way.
Was it because of like your past experiences with like murals and installations where like they have mostly been very, very much site specific?
Yeah. So it was just you paint something and it's there. For this one, it's being like painted over, so there's a need to photograph it. Of course, like the whole, not system, but like the whole, what's the word? It's very different, right? What we're having here and versus something that's site specific is very different. So yeah, I guess there's no need to photograph those works, yeah, in this manner, yeah.
Also, my first time, I think, experiencing a mural project with some form of sustainability to it. I am curious to see how like people would respond to these as prints. I think it's quite an experiment. I do feel that like I think a lot of times I feel that like as artists there may be some maybe some unspoken expectations or of artists being portrayed as like kind of like a bit like unicorns, like we don't eat or drink or sleep, but then like I think we do need somehow to still survive this like physical world in our physical bodies. And like I think that's why like having like a process where like either traditionally it would be like you pay the artist and then they paint something, or like I think something new here that's happening is that you can continue to make purchases off the wall literally, even though the artwork is no longer physically there. So I think it's I do see it as a creative way to I think help different kinds of artists like sustain their practice in.
I think also just like at a creative level, do you guys feel that like maybe photographing your murals is also a nice way to kind of archive your works that you've done as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, don't often get that chance to have it like photo taken of it in such a high res way. Yeah.
Adding on to your point, it's I'm not sure about you, but like I know Charmaine, you have been pushing your work and like weathering the stuff. So to be able to capture that on prints, it's I guess it's quite precious, right? Because after this, like the whole thing will be gone.
For sure. Yeah.
So what do you have to say about like what you think of this whole like printing system?
Absolutely new process to me. I've never had to think of my work in print. So I think one thing that was interesting is that I was always thinking of it as like a full piece and that it would only work as a full piece. But there was a night that Wan Xiang and I were here, and they were telling me that actually if I just kind of reimagine a crop, I kind of go even deeper into the piece. There are quite weathered details that can look quite abstract. So after I looked at that, I started to see all sorts of weird things. I started to see like eyes in the pie. So hopefully people can see what I'm seeing.
Like through the prints that they buy.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. And notably for you, Yanrong, you've made the creative choice to kind of supplement the crop versions of your mural with like kind of additional subjects that will be sold as separate prints, right? Like I saw the shoyu bottle, the ginger, the celery leek, spring onion. Scallion, okay, yeah. So I'm also kind of wondering what kind of intention you had with like bringing those prints like along with the cropped versions of your murals.
Two things. I quite like to be playful with my artworks. So typically I would do things in a series, not just like one item. So for this, my series would be the ingredients to prepare the fish. That's why you have the soy sauce and whatnot. The second would be to complement the different art style. I'm used to painting on paper, so there is a different expression when it comes to painting on paper, be it like the strokes or how the paper is able to absorb the water, the paint. But with the wall, it's a totally different ball game. And although I'm using, the same dry brush strokes and all, the way of execution, having to use a base color first and then layering it with brush strokes is completely different from what I'm used to doing. So it's a package, I guess. Like you're able to see the contrast between what I do on paper and what I do on wall, and I think it's quite a nice contrast, yeah.
I think it would be very interesting for people who end up purchasing your prints as well to kind of like compare like the difference in the detail, difference in the texturing and like the prints. I think it would be very fun for people to kind of discover that aspect to your artistic practice as well. Yeah, please buy the prints, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's time to pick up a second prompt. So Wan Xiang, would you like to give it a shot?
Let's see your chopstick skills.
Is it blocking?
Oh, okay. Connection.
Connections. I mean, like, we've kind of like spent 6 weeks doing up this exhibition. You guys have spent 6 weeks like kind of painting in this space, whether it's like during the weekends, or like weekdays, right? We've seen you guys a lot, like visiting our office as well. So we were also kind of wondering if you guys have kind of fostered any like reflections in terms of like how you personally connect with your murals as well, right? So that's something that I also kind of want to ask. So maybe beginning with Charmaine. Yeah. So what part of your fellow artist murals do you admire at a personal level?
Oh wow, okay, maybe I'll start with Yanrong. So Yanrong, I found her practice and her style of approaching her work is almost completely opposite from mine. So I mean, mine is like measured down to my 1/2 millimeter or whatever I'm doing. And Yanrong kind of comes in and does really big, intentional, swift motions with tools I've never used before, like a broom. And then she has to step away from the work before she continues. She needs time to process it and figure out how she feels about it. And that is, a really new way of approaching work. I love the movement in her strokes. It's absolutely opposite from mine, so I'm in complete awe. Wan Xiang's work is also kind of completely different from mine in a way that all their lines were also not really like straight and straight and hard. They were quite soft and flowy and organic, and every bit of the mural, every single line is different from the next.
Yeah.
So the choice of color as well, So very, very interesting processes to witness.
How do you feel hearing what like Charmaine has said about your murals?
I spoke about this actually a few times because mainly I only worked with Wan Xiang for 1 week or less than that actually, just a few days. So
1 day.
maybe one day.
I think you
Really?
were here at the same.
Okay. Right. Just 1 day. With Charmaine, there were more overlaps, so we chat quite a bit about like our process. She would be really very detailed with her work, weathering and like, we will talk about our differences and the contrasts, how big of a difference. But it's really interesting because like I like looking at how she works, and you know, like she goes in and like really grind. I'll come in like for a few hours and then like I'll leave and all. Yeah, so that's how I feel about her. We have same thoughts, yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I think I don't know. I mean, I of course I super like admire like everybody's processes are so different. Like I mean, Charmaine's is like it has to be your stroke. It has to be your mark. Yeah. But at the same time, it's so open to chance.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say. Like it's so cool to see that that balance there. Because when you scrape off, it's like you wouldn't know what you're gonna scrape off, but like you have to take what it is. So there are similarities to playing with chance in a way, but it does require a lot of like effort, and I feel like focus to get to that state. And then Yanrong's is very different in that way. Like I always love your strokes, of course. Like ever since I followed you on IG, I mean I only knew about Charmaine's work like through this project. I wish I knew earlier. I just didn't. Yeah.
Never too late.
So yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, Yanrong's one is of course the strokes, how daring they can be, because it's like I guess you could say no such thing as a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one shot.
Yeah, right. Like no such thing as a mistake. But then it can. I don't know whether you feel anxious or you have to kind of like put yourself in a particular mode.
Both actually.
Both.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's quite exciting because I think my own work. I kind of play with both like aspects of that. Like well, in this case, like the pastels would be kind of more grungy and textured, and I also just play with like the grains of plywood and all that. But then for some reason, my painting, other than the lines, it's very communal art. I don't know. Like I have, like I realize like Charmaine and Yanrong both like you have to do it yourself in a way. But like mine is like my friends would be like, oh, can I paint? And then there'd be people coming over to paint and kind of like want to be part of the project, which is like I didn't expect that initially, but I was like, oh, this is nice. And then the ends that on the wall, like where the text is, was done by a friend's kid. He really wanted to help me. I was like, okay, can you help me with my ends? Yeah, and he decided that was the best spot, and I just let it be. I feel like it's nice to have that kind of interaction with my work. So I feel like that's quite different from, I mean, in a different way. Like I think we are all interacting with like people, like viewers. Yeah.
It's so nice that you bring up this idea of like members of the public kind of interacting with like your mural, your motifs, and like whatnot. And like, is this something that you're kind of already familiar with through your work as an art therapist?
Yeah, I think for me, like, yeah, maybe it's part of that. I don't think it was a very conscious process, but. How do I put this? Like, I guess as an art therapist, I was trained to kind of think of art as kind of participatory, art as participatory, and art as like a process. So like I think the interactions that I have, or how that process makes someone feel, is also curious. Like, I'm also curious about that. Like just as I am also particular about the way I want things to be, I'm also curious to let it be open to a certain extent, like particularly with my own projects. But I think when it comes to a therapeutic setting where I am the therapist, it might not look like this. I think it'll look very different. Yeah.
But that's also very cool to know.
Right.
Yeah. So I think like maybe Wan Xiang, you might have been like more familiar with this idea of having members of the public interact with your art, but I'm not sure about the two of y'all, Charmaine and Yanrong, right? Because like you've been here in this space for like the past 6 weeks, and you just have people coming in, coming out. Some of them want to talk to you, some of them like cannot talk to you because you guys are like working really diligently on your murals, right? So I was also just kind of wondering throughout these 6 weeks, what was the most meaningful conversation that you guys have had that has kind of stuck with you throughout your stint at Off The Wall?
For me, it's I have people come to share like what is meaningful to them, what kind of food that they or their family share with them that is an act of love, unspoken love. So that's nice. I also have like people coming up to, share about their own practice or like, how they see the brushstrokes, how it makes them feel. So I thought that was quite interesting too because, it's always nice to chat with people, to see how they perceive your work and share their own experiences. I would think maybe the most interesting one would be, I believe he's an artist too. He was, Charmaine was there. He was sharing like he came in because he saw the fish, and then we started talking about survival. You were there too. It's like, yeah, I came in, thought it's a fish, free food or something, nourish, and then we started talking about surviving and how he's practicing hunting and fishing, and then we'll probably be the only survivors on Earth because we thought about all of this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Was it like this idea of like how do you put it? Like the act of fishing is like a very masculine kind of thing, right? Where like you have a lot of like guys posting on Instagram like I'm holding a huge fish.
I don't think at this point it's about strong or masculine or whatsoever. It's just wanting to survive, Yeah. Yeah, it went on for quite a long while.
Yeah, I remember that guy standing right there.
Yeah, we chatted quite long about all that. What about you guys?
Okay, actually the one that sticks is a couple of conversations I had, but I haven't actually painted a pictorial this big, like a woman's head or a pie this big. So I had a few meltdowns when I was painting it, and then I had some conversations with people, painters that I work with, and different people, and I came to this realization that I don't have to be the best at everything. So that really stuck with me. It's okay. I'm not the best at painting pies. I'm not the best at painting women's faces, but I'm really, really happy I tried. Yeah, so it was the trying and the experimentation that was more important than the result, I guess, was the conversation. Yeah.
That's very wholesome, very cute. Very good.
Thanks.
What about you, Wan Xiang?
I think for me, yeah, it's kind of what I said earlier. It felt like, I guess the piece became a a portal of sorts for, like, actually it was just for my friends to drop by, and then I think to kind of participate in a shared activity together that I guess was, for like a better word, like it was quite nourishing, in that way. And getting to just spend some quality time like talking to them. I had like 2 foldable chairs, and it was like, every time I was here, I feel like Charmaine would know, like it's like sometimes like a therapy session. Like I'm the client, by the way. I'm not the therapist. Sorry, I touched the mic. Yeah, I'm the client. Like I think then my friends bring me food, and then just like chatting. I didn't really talk to a lot of strangers this time round. Maybe for me, the experience of just being with like my community, in a sense, that was like the wholesome, nourishing aspect that I enjoyed from this project. Yeah.
When I think of your work,
Yeah.
it's like ant colony, like you and your friends, right? Like just gathering around.
Me and my friends as bugs. Yeah, kind of.
You basically painted what happened. You set the scene almost.
Right.
The environment.
A friend commented that like it looks like a theater backdrop of sorts. So maybe it was like a play. I think maybe in the time lapse you can just see hours of me just sitting there yapping. Like nothing's done, just like a lot of talking and eating. Yeah.
Bring
So I
you
think
food,
yeah.
like The main character.
Oh my god, I'm the I'm the Queen
Yeah,
Anne.
the Queen Anne.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That was so nice to hear, like this idea of like talking with like your artist friends, people coming down to kind of support you, like supporting each other. It's really nice to know that like the local arts community is like so ups. Yeah, but it's also time to pick out another prompt. So Yanrong, do you want to try? It's a bit far, but
Excuse.
It's like Fa Chai.
Care.
Care, yes. So this prompt is actually chosen in line with our Off The Wall theme, Nourish, where we also kind of want to start thinking about how your experience at this exhibition has kind of nourished you, right? And your heart, your mind, and like whatnot. Yeah. So like maybe let's begin with Charmaine, where yeah, I see on your mural the use of like so much iconography, right? You have the lady, you have the pie, and I think it feels very right at home, right? The style of it all with your practice as a sign painter, because it all comes from like very old newspaper advertisements, right? But I'm also wondering, you know, with you being here at Off The Wall today, right? If these icons and symbols have any personal significance to you as a painter, as an individual.
Yeah, I mean, okay, firstly, I didn't notice that when I painted this that I was, how to explain this? There was a visitor who came in and she told me that she was one of my followers from like, you know, quite a while ago. She's been following my journey and she asked me a question like, how did I choose this type? And I kind of always find myself naturally drawn to like quite broad slab serifs, and I didn't realize that I had used it again for this. So, sorry, I got lost in the question. What was the question? Sorry, completely forgot. I got lost. Okay.
It was such a nice story though, the way that you kind of like started with it.
The different the different icons, but basically I kind of without knowing, I found myself drawn back to what I always go back to. I think one of the first few signs I ever painted was for my dad's shop, Frank's Leathersmith, and I used a very similar type, and that was maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. Yeah, and for the pie, I chose a giant pie and I did the humble brand. Basically, it's a play on me talking about how this craft has taught me the importance of humility. I found that the people who I learned the best things from were the most humble people. Yeah, they believe in leaving your ego out of the equation and just sharing and learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lady is my mom. Supposed to kind of be my mom. I tried. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. So cute. I think maybe I also want to like ask you something as well. So like, maybe if you were given a little bit more time to work on your mural, would there be any further embellishments that you would add? Or like any icons that you might want to add to your mural as well?
Icons, probably not, but I think I would have wanted to go even crazier with the aging. Yeah.
But the texture is like already very, very, very aged, right? It's very rough, and you are also really very welcome to other people touching your wall as
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
to like kind of experience the texture. That's actually a first, right? Like this idea that people are allowed to like touch a work of art, right? I think it's really nice that you're kind of bringing that idea to like the space.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then for Wan Xiang, right, I also kind of wanted to bring to attention your love for collages that like you've also kind of communicated to me before that you've also incorporated into your mural as well, right? And so the act of collage, well, I mean, like first and foremost, it does speak to this sensory pleasure when it comes to doing arts and crafts, right? When you're doing it yourself. But like when I look at your mural personally, I also think of the act of collage as having this aspect of power in like taking things apart, putting things together. Metaphorically, it could also speak to this idea of the fragmentation of past, but also piecing together new futures. So I'm also kind of wondering if this is something that you personally relate to as well.
Wow, like I was like, oh, can I quote that? That sounds really nice. I don't think I've articulated my work this way, but now that you are like, you know, you're saying it, yeah, I think there are like also, I mean, some concepts in art therapy where arrangement and play like do give people like that sense of empowerment, like you have agency and control over what you want to create. I think maybe as artists, like that's the kind of some kind of pleasure that we do feel from being able to make something in the first place. Like I think for me, in my work, it's probably just I think the idea of I mean putting playfulness, visualizing playfulness in a way. Like how can I make pieces that make people also want to feel like creating or starting or playing. Yeah, so I think I mean that's the ultimate goal. I'm not sure like how this is, but yeah, and I also lost the question. I was like, wait, that was very long. Okay, wait, no, I'm back. Okay, back online. Okay, fragmentation and also integration. Oh, I wanted to say, okay, I'm back. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm locking in. Okay, I think particularly for me, like I've always been interested in, like, okay. I think for me, I am interested in like the theme of like self-identity, like what are we made of, right? Like what are we becoming? Who are we? So I mean personally, like I've gone through a lot of like transformations in like my identity, deconstructing and then reconstructing. So I think it does seem to come out in the way I make art. I don't think it's a conscious process, but I just enjoy like being able to do that especially when life doesn't often seem like it gives me that space to do that. Like I can, in a small way, still have that sense of agency in my art. Yeah. So I think that I relate to what you're asking.
So like this idea of like life not giving you enough space to kind of like do what you want, like do you have like any stories to kind of share like along those lines?
This will be a massive rant. Suddenly it'll be like...
Let's start yapping. This is what I meant when I said that y'all can just yap whenever.
Just yap. I mean, I don't know how much of this is okay to share. Actually, like I feel like as artists in Singapore already, I feel like my fellow artists might understand the concept of self-censorship. Yeah, and I think as much as I appreciate like having spaces like and funding and particularly funding from our lovely like government. I don't know how much of this will be censored, honestly. But
it's okay. That's what Premiere Pro is for.
Yeah, I do find it. I myself, I think having to use, I guess maybe that's the beauty of art as well, to use like visual metaphors and storytelling as a way to subvert or as a way to talk about like I think topics of that are dear to me, or things that are dear to my community. For example, like I think for me in particular is the queer community, because like I think in my art, like I'm trying to talk about like, you know, maybe hidden or like, you know, not. I'm trying to talk about like hidden communities that are not always visible all the time. For example, mushrooms have waxing and waning phases. Like they just suddenly come up and then they disappear. Like, and then you don't know, maybe another season later, they might reappear in the same spot or a completely different spot. Like I think it's a realm of biology that people have yet to really like pinpoint, like what exactly is it? And I think I like to use these things as metaphors to also maybe bring light to how I feel as a queer person in society. So I think these are things that I'm still personally struggling to talk about in a more public sphere, like how safe is it for me to share about these things in a more direct way. So I think that's why I feel like maybe sometimes life doesn't feel like I can always freely or openly have the things that I want, or like have the options that I want, even for my friends or my loved ones. But like as an artist or someone who creates, like we can try to encourage this, like not encourage, or maybe envision how like a different world could look like. I think that's the magic of art, but I hope it doesn't remain just in this realm. Like, you know, I think it would be great for it to manifest in reality as well. Yeah.
I think it's really nice that you talk about your aspirations and, like, in a sense, kind of hopefulness, optimism that you've kind of injected into your work, right? That's really nice. And then for Yanrong, right? Regarding your mural, I find it very interesting that creative expression for you lies in the sheer control that you have over your brushstrokes, right? Especially how it takes so much focus and contemplation to get it done, get it right. Like that explosive energy that we have with like that brushstroke at like right over there, it looks so good, and I'm sure that it takes a lot of strength, a lot of effort to kind of like get the form that you want, right? So I'm also very curious to ask, like, were there any thoughts that you had in particular while kind of getting into the process of painting this mural and getting your brushstrokes done?
No thoughts. Just blank. Shocking. Basically, when I am painting something like that, I try to not think about anything. I just visually, I need to balance things out. So my mind has to be blank. And we spoke about that just now, like what kind of emotions I'm feeling. It has to be a balance of panicking and feeling peaceful. The panicking part will push me to do it. The peaceful part allows me to be decisive about balancing the strokes with the rest of the artwork. So the reason why I'm walking around, well, the rest are like painting or like, talking, eating. I do pace around quite a bit to not be influenced by everything, so that my mind is blank and it's all about the balance. Yeah.
So would you say that you begin as like somebody who's feeling very panicked, and then you pace around and you're like, okay, I'm somewhat better?
Yeah, I don't listen to music. Maybe you guys can chat with the volunteers to see, like, I'm sure everyone plays music when they are painting and all, but like I don't when I'm painting the brushstrokes, because I don't want to be influenced by whatever. My mind has to be very, in a certain state to, if not, I will panic, and then it'll be bad, because I only have one shot, right? When I do it, that's it already. Sometimes I'll be like, oh shit, like it's like off. Then I'll be like, oh no. But
Do warm-ups, like you warm up.
I kind of like practice like with my broom, like, okay, how far can I go with this size? What can I get? But you can't really predict like how it's gonna end up. And then like sometimes like, ah shit, this is wrong. And then like I'll be like circling and like trying to get back to that frame of mind. But also with this, why I need to be at peace is because even if I were to paint something that I don't like it, I need to find how to balance it out with something else. So maybe the stroke is like too heavy or too light, then I need to find another stroke to, not compensate lah, but like to pair it with, yeah. So that's my process.
Would you say that you're a very kind of like perfectionistic kind of like person by default?
Is this perfect? I don't think it is. I don't think I'm a perfectionist. I used to be, but my approach is always like balancing. There will be the clean part, but there's also that messy part, and how do we bring them together to, have this nice balance? Yeah.
Yeah, so like I was also kind of wondering if that messy part was something that you had to kind of learn to embrace over time.
I would say I'm more messy than, organized. So when I started off being messier and more organic, and I have to ground it with the clean part. So it's not really the clean part first and then the messy, it's the messy part first and the clean. So yeah, it's different. Yeah.
It's like an interesting way to kind of approach your practice. Because like when I look at this fish, it's like so grand, right? And I think like, oh, only a calligraphy master.
Calligraphy master. So my background is in calligraphy, right? And I didn't want to do the very nice strokes. In Chinese, there's a Cao, which I prefer, which is a bit more expressive and all. The clean part comes from my background in graphic design, where there are grids and all. So not similar to your experience, but the whole constructing, reconstructing, it's a process and a journey lah. Like I am like this, like a bit more Cao and messy, and then I learn about grids, typo, kerning, and all that, and then that brings in that organized and clean part, and then it gets a bit too much, and then how do I merge everything or balance everything out so that it's not too this or too that. Yeah.
That's really nice how like your artistic practice kind of like shows how you melt together your different like creative influences together. It's very cool. Yeah. It's also time to pick another prompt, guys. So maybe let's go back to Charmaine.
Sure, I can do better this time. There we go. Creation.
Creation. I mean, like as artists, like you guys are very, very used to creating, right? But I think with Off The Wall in particular, we also kind of want to talk about your relation with your creative practice, how that might have changed, right? Like for your time at Off The Wall. Yeah. So maybe beginning with Charmaine. I think as you've shared like with us quite a bit, you've experimented like very frequently, right? During your stint at Off The Wall, you've talked about like aging the wall, but you've also shared about like changing the paint thinning processes that you use. You've also talked about like using different like new tools, right? You haven't used before, right? But I was also just kind of wondering, where did this creative impulse to like try new things really come from for you?
So when I started this piece, I knew that I wanted to focus a lot on texture. Sorry. Sorry. What's the question?
Or like just like, where did this desire to try new things come from?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Should I go again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I knew that I needed to build texture on the wall. A flat white wall wasn't really giving me what I needed to achieve. So there were two ways that I could approach it. I can either rip the entire wall back, which is not so desirable, or I can build. So I through a lot of experimentation, I played with construction materials, really, joint compound. I put some pigments into joint compound to get that kind of earthy tone of an aging wall. No idea what I was doing, but I basically took a trowel, also never held one of those before, and I just experimented. I went all over the wall, and that gave me a nice grit for when I painted over. And then after I painted over, I kind of like scrubbed that back as well. And then the entire wall has been about me like pushing backwards and then pulling like forwards to create all the different stains and different textures, because these are the textures that first got me into sign painting, got me to realize that a human has gone and painted all these things, that there is value in keeping all these age signs around. Yeah, so that's something that I knew I wanted to encapsulate in this, and it's all the things that I haven't tried that really scare me. So yeah.
So is this idea of kind of like looking back in time at like your inspirations and just kind of like capturing it with what you've done on the mural here in the gallery space for you?
Yeah.
Ah, would
Yeah.
you say that like everything that you've done here at Off The Wall, like did you have that kind of creative freedom with like your past commissioned works, your past jobs?
No, not all the time. Yeah, I mean, clients normally want fast, cheap.
Good.
Yeah, good. So sometimes you can't have it all. Yeah, and to have a month and a half to build something is also quite rare in a space with a client. Yeah.
I mean, like, how do your interactions with your clients usually go? Like, what do they expect from you? What do they want you to do for them?
Oh, sometimes they have no idea. Sometimes they have their logo and they just want me to paint it. Sometimes they want me to design it. But very rarely does someone say, hey, here's a month and a half. I'll give you a theme. Just do whatever you want. So it's never happened to me. So yeah, this time has been really, really good for me.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. It's really nice to hear that like you've kind of enjoyed your time here at Off The Wall in that way. And I think maybe Wan Xiang, I also kind of wanted to ask about the motifs that you use for your mural as well. So like you've used very, very playful motifs of insects, ants, and like whatnot, tiny creatures throughout your mural. And so I was just kind of wondering if these elements have personal or professional significance for you, or if they're more about inviting other people to kind of immerse themselves in this whimsical world that you've created.
I think it's both. I think the fun thing about art is that people have their own interpretations and experiences and responses. I do think that is part of the art as well, the interaction, right? As for personal significance, I feel like I chose like I guess quite common. I mean commonly seen. What was the term? Like common insects, and then like some like slightly more uncommon ones. I paired them together in this way because I feel like these are bugs. For example, snails and frogs are quite common, I think, in our local climate. Ants are also just everywhere. Termites are kind of unpleasant. I don't think people enjoy them very much. Isopods are really minuscule. You can't even see them most of the time. They're either scary or kind of cute. Up to you. Yeah, and then spores and mushrooms are also they are not often very noticed, lah, I would say, or like they're either seen as pests or kind of icky. I think snails can give people the ick sometimes, but they are also very strange. So I think there's a strangeness to these, or like something not quite cuddly about these creatures that I kind of like, and I feel like I don't know, giving them this little space to play and to breathe is quite nice. I professionally, I don't know. I think the motifs I've used in my art like have changed over the years, depending on like what I'm feeling about myself. And currently, it's just exploring kind of like critters and creatures that are a bit. For example, a frog is an amphibian. It kind of can live on land and in the water. Snails can clone themselves, or they reproduce in a way that's quite unique. I think insects as well have their own little systems and their unique ways of like, I don't know, doing things. Ants could be friend or foe, like they could be really kind of cute, but when there's a whole mountain of them and then suddenly it's quite terrifying. What else? Yeah, I think I've shared earlier like about mushrooms and fungi being like kind of like strange and not really understood in the plant world. They're not even plants, are they plants? Like, so I think there's this ambiguity to these motifs that I've picked that I think it's a nice way to introduce myself or share about myself or what I'm interested in with like my viewers. Yeah.
I think it's also really interesting that you mentioned this juxtaposition between your personal perception of these motifs, these animals, as like something that you want to kind of how you want to cuddle, right? Versus the common perception of these insects as something that's creepy, right? Which and I think the creepiness itself also kind of runs counter to your work as an art therapist. So I'm also kind of curious as to, where exactly this artistic impulse, like where it came from, and like what made you feel like bringing this juxtaposition of moods to our gallery space here at Off The Wall.
I think I actually can go creepier. I think that would be one thing I want to improve from this piece, is that actually it can go weirder. I do think it's not that counter. It's not that. What's it? Like your question is that like it seems.
It's like unexpected.
Unexpected. Actually, I feel like in art therapy, like we do want to embrace like all kinds of emotions and feelings, and they can go quite dark or like a bit ambiguous. And there's always room for like feelings that are not so explicable, which is why art is cool, right? Because like it can give you that space to explore shadows and like ambiguity in a less threatening way. Yeah. So in fact, like I think in art therapy, it is encouraged to do that. Yeah. So I think it fits in very nicely. Yeah.
I think there's a very interesting take on like this process of healing, right? Like how you have to like confront bits of yourself, the ugly parts of yourself, right, in order to kind of move on and go to like a brighter place, right? Yeah, that's really nice to hear. And I think for Yanrong, I've also kind of heard that initially during your, I guess, contemplation for what you want to do for the mural, you wanted to paint noodles at first? Yeah, but like you decided to paint a red grouper fish later on, right? And it's also very interesting that you decided on a red grouper fish in particular, since it's, serving a whole grouper fish is usually like a special treat, right? So like what about Off The Wall Nourish kind of prompted this change of mind?
Right. So, I mean, my intention working on Nourish has always been to paint a food that has a special meaning. And noodles was something that like I did want to explore, because in my family, my mom, my aunts, and my grandma, they cook this particular 面线, which for birthdays and for Chinese New Year, to wish whoever who eats it long and healthy life. Basically, there's a well-meaning thought behind it, and I did try sketching and envisioning how it would appear on the wall. But the thing is, with the space, it doesn't allow me to express that noodles in the way that I want to. Firstly, because it's horizontal. I would prefer it to be longish, so that you can. I mean, I can go this way, but I don't feel that it's right. And then when I try with different formats, it starts to look like a ramen restaurant art, So especially with, I'm limited by the dimension and also with the medium. I couldn't express it the way I want to, basically. So I was thinking about what are other significant food that I would want to paint. The fish is the one and only dish that my mom taught me to prepare. Unlike your mom, my mom doesn't cook at all, but she did teach me how to prepare fish.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah. Not a red grouper though. It's a pomfret, and same thing. I didn't do a pomfret because of the size of the wall. But yeah, when I decide on the subject to paint, it's usually to fit the space, how I want it to exist within these white walls and this dimension. So, I mean, red grouper is something that is a fish that a lot of people choose to use for steamed fish, right? So that's one thing, and also it fits really nicely in this longish format, and I really like the color. Yeah.
It's very vibrant, it's very striking. Yeah, I really, really get it. And have you had any personal experience with eating a red grouper fish though?
Oh, yeah, it is a dish that only for special occasion, me and my family will, order out, yeah.
I see. Do you have any story to funny stories to share along those lines?
Red grouper? No. I mean, it would be cool if I can, prepare one. We can do a video. How do you pick a great grouper? How do you, prepare it? And then,
do you know how to?
I do watch videos on how to prepare fishes, because everyone not say everyone not say every species also, but there's different way to fillet, to gut them and things like that, to scale them. So for red grouper, not really. But if I were a chef, I think I would specialize in fish or seafood. Yeah. It's quite artistic the way they cut and prepare things. Yeah.
Like the sushi chefs, right, where they will have to study their culinary studies for so many years before they're ready to cut it.
I probably need to wash the rice first for 5 years, right? For 5 years, yeah, for 5 years.
Exactly.
That's so cute. Okay, now let's move on to the next prompt. Wan Xiang, would you do the honors? We'll see about that.
Can we do a bathroom break?
Oh,
I've been dying.
Sure.
Sorry, and
Sure,
I
sure.
can't
Let's take a
sit
break.
still.
Let's take a break.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, rolling now. Rolling now.
Yes.
Okay.
So the last word is change.
All right. I think over the past 6 weeks that you guys have spent at Off The Wall Nourish, I'm sure that the time that you've taken to develop your works have given you guys the time and space to kind of contemplate about maybe yourself, your career, and whatnot. So maybe let's begin with Charmaine. So I think the support that you've received from the sign painting community has been honestly very massive, right? Especially when we look at the response to your artist spotlight. Yeah, and I think it's really good to hear, especially when sign painting as a practice is unfortunately gradually getting lost with time. But let's hope not. Yeah. So how do you think your endeavors at Off The Wall Nourish kind of relate to broader efforts at reviving the practice within your local community?
Yeah, actually, when I painted this, I to be very honest, I wasn't sure if people would be able to relate to me aging the wall. Like I thought I'd be getting more questions like why are you doing this? But it's been pleasantly surprising. People have come in and touched the wall with me and actually appreciated the layering, the aging, the textures. So yeah, that definitely gives me hope. I hope that I'll be able to paint something like this on the side of a building. So I wanted this piece to look like it was unearthed from the wall. And yeah, I hope I'll get to do this somewhere outside. I hope I've made people understand that it's possible. Yeah.
That's really nice. That's really nice to know. And I think maybe for Wan Xiang, like relating to your career as an art therapist, right? In the same way that other people have learned to reflect upon themselves and rediscover themselves, like through your work. How have you kind of learned things about yourself through your experience at Off The Wall?
I see, I think this opportunity as a continuation of like, I think the whatever creepy or strange things that I'm drawn to right now as a person. So I'm very happy to see it like manifested in like literally on the wall in a big way. I think not a lot of opportunity to always to get to create something, like without a brief, like that's just completely your own artistic direction. Like I think for me it's exploring the use of more color. Also, I think for the first time also creating something very focused on one theme, not so abstract, like one theme with like cutouts that are also very representational. Because I think in my own practice, I tend to go for even more ambiguous themes. So I think it's nice to explore like a different side of myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. And then for Yanrong, I think it's also very interesting to note that you begin like kind of discovering your art style through a school project done in university on marine animals, and like now you're here, right, like painting a giant fish on our walls, right? That's insane. Like talk about coming full circle, right? So what has your latest re-examination on this familiar motif for you kind of revealed to you about yourself and your career during your time in this space?
I thought it was quite interesting that you brought, like my school project, because like, I mean, through social media, like my uni friend was like, oh, wow, like the 2013 you wouldn't believe like, this and all. It's been quite a journey, like I think with a lot of artists discovering their own style. It's very frustrating, I think at the beginning, not knowing what you can do or what you want to do, and then like it has been so many years, and even like where I'm at now, I have friends who I mean they know of my work, my style. They're so like, oh, what you're doing now is different from previous walls where you did your broom. So I'm excited, I guess, to see where this can take for all of us, actually. I think everyone here is exploring and, in a way, discovering and pushing what they can do. It's a really good space to really find something different from what we have always been used to or comfortable. And I think it's also nice that three of us with very, very different styles and approach come together, and there's this nice way of like just chatting, reflecting on our work, and it's a nice community lah. Yeah, so Nourish. It's nourishing.
Along those lines, actually, like I think we also really want to talk about this year's theme in particular, Nourish, right? Which was revealed to you when you guys first came on board. And so I also kind of wanted to know what your initial reaction to this theme was, like when it was revealed to you, and how you've grappled with it over the course of these 6 weeks.
I think like the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh no, food. And then food made me think of like restaurant art. And then I was like, oh no, that's not the direction I want to go for. But then the team was like, wait, no, you can interpret this any way you want. I was like, okay, that is actually very open-ended and relatable, right? Yeah. So that was me. Yeah.
I'm opposite. I'm like, yes, food. But of course, like, you know, there's this like, oh, if I were to paint the noodles, it will look like restaurant and all. But yeah, I quite like the. For me, like it's different, like, right? Like mine is kind of more literal. It's just like how can I capture the essence of the object? So it's very different reaction from yours. Right. But you.
Yeah, I think when I first got the Nourish theme, I was also thinking in an extremely literal sense. I don't know why. The first thing that came into my mind was like laksa and satay and all that. I was like, no.
Singapore food.
Exactly. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, no. And then as we spoke, it's like nourishment is so wide. So when I really, really sat down and I asked myself questions that I've never had to ask myself, like what does painting mean to me? Why do I paint? A whole different thing came out of the process. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. It was really nice to see like the different directions that you guys took with like the theme of nourishment.
Yeah.
And I think like maybe it's also time to like conclude like this group interview. So maybe just to kind of like wrap things up, we want to kind of stress that every ending also begets another beginning, right? So what kind of advice would you give to the next edition of artists for Off The Wall? You want to start with you, Charmaine?
Yeah, I think at first I thought I was kind of crazy doing a lot of things that I've never done before at basically the first time I've done an exhibition. But I think this has been the perfect space for that. I think Off The Wall and Art Outreach is like a wonderful platform to do something different from your everyday practice. And it's nice support. They let me age the wall. So like, yeah, it's been wonderful. And maybe clear your calendar during this time so that you can really just devote yourself to this and see what comes out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, good tips. I think you can really push yourself and experiment and be as creative as you want to be. I think if you set aside time to make that work, I would say like it's like if I gave myself advice back then, I'm like, actually, yeah, you can really push it a lot more than what you've done. So I really am excited to see even like crazier stuff like come up from this project actually.
I think same thing, like really try to push yourself out of comfort zone, experiment, and I think it can be scary maybe for some artists if, you know, the walls are really big and wide. But it's all part of the process. I think it's something that we always talk about, like it's okay to make, there's no mistake, you know, like it's okay to just experiment, try, take a step back, and then see how you can work around it or, you know, work from there. And everything is just part of your growth and process as an artist. Yeah, so don't be afraid.
Yeah, that's a really nice sentiment to end on. But also not really, because we have a bonus final segment that you guys were not privy to. So this is okay. So we've got some cards and markers for you. It's like at the back. Wait, let me just like get them real quick. We've got some cards. And markers, yay! So I hope you guys remember what you've responded for what was your comfort food, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's time to kind of do a quick 5-minute sketch of each other's comfort food.
Wait, we're sketching someone else's comfort food.
So let's just do it this way. Maybe Charmaine, you'll do Wan Xiang's, and then Wan Xiang's you'll do Yanrong's, Yanrong's you'll do Charmaine.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, as in, I draw.
Whatever you imagine, I guess.
Yes. It's your interpretation.
Oh, interpretation.
Interpretation of Charmaine's mom's home cooking.
Kueh pai tea.
How did you feel when you ate the kueh?
Sure. Yeah, that's good. I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Like, I forgot what your comfort food is.
Can you?
Look at. Oh my god, no, I don't want to support. Okay, wait, what's the other one?
Okay.
But I also no. Okay.
Ready.
Too bad, too late.
Yeah,
too bad.
You have to try to remember.
It's okay, we can censor. It's so strange, because like usually Wan Xiang you work really fast on the mural, but now you're sitting here like...
It's like all I can think of is the 面线, like the mee sua is the only thing in my mind. Will you consider that your comfort food?
Actually, no.
Really, that's not.
Okay, it is in some way.
What is the other one? There were 2 options. Oh no, I need help. Wait, what is the prompts?
Chinese.
Yeah.
You use chopsticks to eat it.
You use chopsticks for all kinds of Chinese food.
With vinegar.
Vinegar and ginger strips.
Oh dear.
You said that just now? Oh yeah, wait. Okay, it's still noodle related.
Okay.
Okay, alright. So.
Oh dear.
No, what happened?
I mean, I'm ready, but
I remember Lenu, but I just don't know. I just don't know what. Okay. What is the item? Why is there vinegar and ginger? I keep thinking gyoza.
Huh?
Like 饺子.
But similar.
Gyoza, no? Oh. Oh, I didn't know you ate these noodles with vinegar and ginger.
No, it's something with the noodles.
It is in the noodle.
It's with the noodles. You can eat it on its own, but
I'm sorry, I don't know how to draw. Is it? I can't remember what it is. Something about this looks kind of wrong. Too late, you're wrong. So deal with my artistic interpretation.
You done? You ready?
I'm ready.
1 minute left, guys.
Okay, wait. Okay, see. All right.
Okay. Let's exchange our cards.
Well, you can see,
No surprise.
see it. No surprise.
Oh.
Oh.
Come. Let's show it to the camera.
Obviously, the text. So cute, so cute, the shapes.
yeah, I love it.
Oh.
This is awesome.
What's this? You want to explain? What are the browns?
Lanu, something pork. Something to do with noodles.
Wonton.
Oh,
Wonton.
just try very hard to eat.
So now it's not like wonton, it's like the pork inside the wonton just floating around in the sea.
Deconstructed, yeah?
Yeah.
Potato. Your comfort food is inside. Thank you.
I was imagining pork slices. Yeah, okay, but okay.
Are you guys satisfied with the sketches that you've received?
Yeah, I am actually. Very much so.
It does look like a kueh pie.
Right.
I feel like
Even better than. It's cross-hatching.
Wow, what a technique. Technique. You gotta respect the technique.
just giving like canned lotus root soup vibes. Like if I can just purchase like instant lotus root soup.
You would, huh?
Yeah, I would.
$1 million idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. This brings me a lot of comfort.
I'll wrap it up in a wonton after this.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's so nourishing.
So nourishing.
So nourishing. I am so glad that we've ended off on this nourishing note. So I hope you guys have enjoyed our group interview with, again, Charmaine Chen, Wan Xiang, and Yanrong. So the links to the prints for Off The Wall will be available on our website, which you can access through the link in our description. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to you guys for kind of participating in our group interview.
Thank you.
Yay! Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Credits roll. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Well done.
Are we cutting? Yes. Hey!